Hey Blipsounds, we are excited to announce the end of the February competition and to announce our top 5 videos, including our winner for the sound design competition. We're going to go ahead and dive right into it. I'm so excited to share these with you. There were 20 of you that entered and you all did an incredible job. There were 21 of you that entered, and you all did an incredible job. This was very, very tough judging it. A lot of you improved greatly, and I'm really excited to dive into it. So let's go ahead and check out these videos. All right, so starting with our top 5, the 5th place is Holmes with his video. So one of the things that he does really well is he announces that Keyblade lighting up, and I like the choice. It's an interesting choice for sure. I think my biggest critique would be that if you look at what the key is doing when it lights up, this kind of like this sparkle, this frill effect, I think it would be better to capitalize on that. And a lot of the people in the competition did, but definitely brownie points for kind of signaling the start of that attack. I like the sound overall. I like that that attack that you get with the lightning. That's a great job of that. And emphasizing that attack. And that's going to be one of the other things that we're going to talk about is that circle that kind of comes in when the attack starts. Great job at capitalizing on that. Like I like that boom that comes in, that kind of almost sonic boom force that comes in. Like I said, my biggest critique is just the sound that you use. Big brownie points for acknowledging the Keyblade lighting up. But given the animation, like this kind of all these sparkles and everything, it would be great to give that animation some sound. Give it like what does that sound like? But again, like big props for signaling. And that is something I'm going to talk a little bit more about in this video. So now we're going to move on to 4th place, which is Dead Newbie, also known as Kyle Williams. I think this might be his first time entering in the competition. He can correct me. But this was a fantastic sound. This was probably my personal favorite sound. I like the sound that you use when the attack starts. You know, capitalizing on this animation effect going on. I like that sound that you use. It's very subtle, but it's also enough to inform you that this attack is starting. I like that smack. That smack that happens, and I feel like you really do a great job of accentuating not only that smack, but how the screen whites out, like giving the effect that you've almost been left in a haze or in a daze from that smack. I do like that little kind of like buzzing sound that's underneath. In some ways, I mean, I have mixed feelings about it, but overall, like I think it conveys the intensity of this attack. So great job. Really great job, especially if I believe this was your first entry. In 3rd place, we have Nag, or I am so sorry for messing up this name. Itu Tatinen, please correct me in the Discord forums. I greatly apologize, but let's hear this sound. So you definitely you went more for like this build up, this kind of fade in, and overall, there's some good things working in here. I like the kind of bass that you get with this attack. There's a lot of high-end clarity. I think your use of dynamics was great. I love the sound that you use for the Keyblade, you know, really taking advantage of what that looks like. You know, what does that sound like? What would that animation sound like? I kind of like that little woo going on in there where, you know, there's a big buildup. It's a great sound. I really enjoy it. I like that anticipation. You know, you have that sound that I think you could have a bit more of a definite start to that sound. Like I said, it fades in. I think that little sprinkly sound with the key, I think you could have like a definite start, but then having the rest of the sound fade in creates that tension, creates that anticipation for it. Where my biggest critique would be that hit. I think you could accentuate that hit a lot more. I talked about in my previous video about the rise and fall, and you have a great rise, but there's no impact before the fall, and that's what this white screen is that giant impact. And I feel like you could have taken better advantage of that. It's a beautiful setup. I like the anticipation. But I feel like that impact you could have brought out a little bit more and made it a bit more intense. But great job overall. I love the sound of the key. That's probably one of my favorite key sounds. Just really taking advantage of interpreting what that would sound like. So our second place is the Walrus. Oh, this is a fantastic sound. Again, like that sound of the key starting the fight, or starting the move, I'm sorry. That's another just beautiful sound. You do a great job of initializing that sound. There is a definite start to it. Like, I feel like there has been a button pushed. And that's a really great job. You nail that impact. And I kind of like that little wow that you use. It's you know, definitely creating this rise and fall. I think my biggest critique is when you're doing the lightning sounds there, it's a little too harsh on the high end. That's just me personally. I think you could have eased off on the high end a little bit, maybe add some more low end frequency to it to convey the weight of the attack. Because the Thundaja is the final form of the thunder attack. You know, it starts with thunder, then Thundaga. I believe it's thunder, Thundaga, Thundaja. So each attack should build off of it. So the final attack should sound like it carries the most amount of weight to it, carries the most amount of intensity to it. So adding more low end gives it more beef, more weight to it. That would be my biggest critique. Also adding a little bit of mid-range. It sounds like there's some scooping going on in the mid-range, but it's a great job overall. I really enjoy this sound. I think you nail a lot of the points. In my last video, I talked about some of my favorite runner-ups, and I want to try and get to that, but I really want to talk about initial attacks, and I talked about it some in the last video when we talked about Bayonetta, and so this time I'm going to try something different. I'm going to pull up on here and we're going to go by it frame by frame. And in the Thundaja attack, this video, as you can see, was recorded at just shy of 30 frames per second. So once we hit 30 frames, that means a second will have passed if we were watching it in real time. So for the sake, you can see here the key is lit up. This is actually frame 13, but it's going to start at 0 for the reference. And we're going to go until we start to see the attack actually begin, when we start to see the lightning come down. So the key is just lit up. This means the player has pushed the button to start the Thundasia attack. And here we are on frame 13. And it's going to, like I said, we zeroed it, so we start at frame, it starts at frame 0. But we can see the animation happening, and she's prepping for it. She leans in, and then the attack. We'll say that the attack has started. So here we are at 21 frames since we started it. So we are 9 frames shy of a second. That's an eternity if you push the button and you feel like it takes almost a second for the attack to happen. So this is not instantaneous. There's almost a full second of build. And it goes by really quickly if we start it. And then it cuts to the beginning of the attack. It goes by pretty quick, but imagine that you're the player and you push the button here, and then that's when the attack starts. And that's why I emphasize it's so important to create this feedback, to create some sort of sound to affirm the player. You push the button, the action is happening. You don't want the player to feel like they're being cheated. And that's why I stress so much about okay, how are you informing the player that they've pushed the button? And you'll notice that in all of these top 5 videos, there's some sort of indication that the attack has started. And remember, like, this is going on. There's a whole bunch of music playing while this is happening. There's the sound of the enemies running around. There's all sorts of other sounds going on. And you notice that, especially in the top 5, that they used high pitch frequencies because those are going to poke out of the mix more. They're going to stay out of the way of the music, stay out of the way of a lot of other things happening, but it's going to be enough for the player to know, I've pushed the button, the attack is starting. There's a visual element to it. The key is lighting up. You see all the sparkles happening. And then creating that sound is just that one extra element. It's players don't know that that's missing or that's necessary until you take that sound away. And then they're going to push the button and they might see the animation, but they might not register it right away. But sound, they will register it instantly. Hey, I pushed the button. The game knows I pushed the button. The game isn't cheating me. And that's why I stress so much about, make sure that there's an initial sound, that there's something. When you have an attack like this, when you have an instantaneous attack, like a punch or a jab or something like that, you don't need a setup sound because it's an instantaneous action. It's only actions like this when there's a build, when there's a rise and fall, there's something has happened and you need to key the player in that they have pushed the button. I do want to talk about a couple of runner-ups. So one runner-up I'm going to throw right here is from Maria, who was one of our top 5 last month. So one of the things I want to talk about is, as I was just stressing before, there's not really a sound that has initialized the keyblade. Like if you were a player and you push this, like if you know the move well enough, you can make the argument that they would know it. But if you're doing this for the first time and you want to see what this attack looks like, and you go to push it, there's nothing that's informed you that the button is pushed. Now that being said, my favorite part is this impact sound. Like that is just a wall up in the face, and that's a really, really, really fun sound. I enjoyed that a lot. Our next runner-up is Squosh, who has won in the past and placed in the top 5 in the past. And this is my favorite thing about this is his stereo spread. He nails that intro with the keyblade. And you notice it's subtle. It's not anything fancy. I mean, in some ways, it sounds like a little triangle sound. Almost sounds like that intro to a TED Talk, if you've ever watched them on YouTube. It's simple. It doesn't need to be anything complicated. It's just something that is giving a positive feedback to the player. You've pushed the button and the game has acknowledged it. And like I said, my other thing is I like the stereo spread. I mean, this is an event that's taking up the entire screen, and he's really taking advantage of that in the field. And it's I like almost like the bomb dropping sound that he's making. It's a very interesting interpretation of this. And so now we are going to go to the winner of this. This is the moment everyone has been waiting for. This is why everybody has watched this video for as long as they did, and or probably just fast forwarded if they're being honest. And the winner is Doku. First of all, a big congratulations to Doku. I can't remember if this is his first time winning. I know he's placed in the top 5 in the past. So a big congratulations to Doku. And let's listen to his sound again. Nice job of initializing that tack. A very, just very simple. It's got a lot of high-end information in there. I even like that little, kind of like almost like a little tapping or popping sound at the beginning. You know, that little boosh in there. That's a really good job. There's that impact has a lot of weight to it. Hold on, let me get a better spot. I like the impact that you did, that kind of resolve to it again. That was a great job. You go from the rise and fall where the attack happens. There's a lot of craziness going on, and then the attack ends, and there's the falling action. My only critique, and again, similar to other videos, is adding more weight to the attack, adding a little bit more low-end information to really give this attack some heavy weight, some impact. But great job overall. Great job to everyone that participated. Even if you didn't make it into the top 5, there were some incredible sounds in there. A lot of you improved so much from even just last month to this month. So since Doku is the winner, his prize will be a free month of our game audio training series, or GATS for short. And as we have spoken about many times and we've talked about in our Discord channel, GATS is our monthly subscription game audio training series. And with that subscription, you will get access to very in-depth training, not just about how to make sounds for video games, but also how to implement them. So if you want to know more about GATS, head on over to blipsounds.com, or you can check out our Discord channel where you can talk to Ryan and myself and learn more about it. We would love to have you join us, and we hope you guys will stay tuned for our next competition, which we will be announcing in a couple of days. I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited to hear what you guys will do for it. I hope you guys all take care, and peace out.